What sucks when you get married? Having to deal with in-laws who don't play nice with others. This times 9,000. Mine and her folks got along so well for the first 4 years that we were together and almost like BFFs. For some reason Mill hates my parents. Guts ever since right before the wedding. No idea what happened. My mom reached out and got a, "No, nothing is wrong" response, and Mill has never outright said it. But it's been very obvious with passive aggression and snide remarks anytime they've been around each other. The in-laws seem to love me, and my folks just say not to worry about the drama because it has nothing to do with my wife nor I. LMAORs got along great until my mom did what she thought was a very nice gesture and used her genealogy skills to make a family tree for my Mill. Sounds great, right? Didn't even turn up anything weird or salacious or confusing. EXXXXCEEEEEEPT Mill somehow got convinced that her family was Jewish and in the Holocaust. And survived and moved to the US afterwards. They have no family heirlooms or stories or documents even suggesting this. They aren't even Jewish or know of a specific family member that ever was, but it's what Mill has decided is fact. Maury voice. The family tree determined that was a lie. Mil's been mad at her ever since. Fascinating, since my mom never once argued or denied it. She was like, "Oh I didn't find anything like that, but you know records can be so spotty, especially when war is involved." Nope. Mill still hates her. She ruined Mil's imaginary Jewish ancestry and pretend vague Holocaust story sad face, while my mom found zilch to do with Judaism or even any known relatives simply living in Europe at all any time near World War II. She did find robust documentation of when her folks came over from the Netherlands in the 1890s. One of them even had some kinda higher position in the rare Jewish sect that is, checks notes, the Dutch Reformed Church in America. It's just weird. IDK how to feel about it. It's funny. And sad. My Mil's own mom is still alive, and was alive during World War II, and was raised by parents who were alive and living in the US during World War II, and she is just as confused by the Holocaust story as the rest of us are. None of Mil's kids heard this story until they were adults, either. It's like she just got a wild hair one day and decided that was her thing. My mom hadn't heard that story before making the tree, so she was so confused by Mil's reaction. Edit. I forgot. My partner did a 23andMe test a while back and it noted 0 Jewish ancestry of any type. There's literal DNA evidence. Crazy shit. And GT. My Mil's own mom is still alive, and was alive during World War II, and was raised by parents who were alive and living in the US during World War II, and she is just as confused by the Holocaust story as the rest of us are. The fact that everyone involved doesn't try to call your Mill on this is a broken, but common part of our culture. We need to stop letting people have their own made-up facts, all in the sense of some sort of social conflict avoidance. It isn't healthy. There is irrefutable living evidence that your Mil's own mother was alive in America during WW2. That should stop it right there. I know this seems harmless to let her believe this, but it can easily spiral and become harder to bring people back to reality as they dig into more complex beliefs that are made up reality. People aren't used to being respectfully challenged by their family anymore. Instead it becomes, "Oh, that is just Mill. You know how she is." I had a friend experiencing paranoid delusions that were most likely caused by an abrupt change in psychotropic medications. It is deeply unsettling to a person in that state when you try to explain to them that they are wrong, even if you believe you are showing them irrefutable proof. Certainly it's possible that Mill makes up these stories for attention and doesn't appreciate being called out on it, but if it was my family member, I would try to have them evaluated just in case something more serious was going on. That's fucking insane. You know, it would be entertaining to interview her, to hear about the stories of the experience during those dark years. I'm sure she has some specific details. Your spouse's family problems become yours. This is the biggest one. even in great relationships. All the annoying little quirks that your family members have are now twice as noticeable to your spouse, and vice versa. Amplified when you have kids. And little quirks. Or worse, my parents are mentally ill. I warned my spouse, and he met them. We failed to prepare his mother. I spent the rest of that marriage with my mill saying, I just can't understand why your parents would act that way. Come on. I'm sorry. I know their behavior is atrocious, and I'm glad they went NC with me, but you're a psychologist. I'd think you'd at least understand why they are acting that way. Bruh, the amount of people who are psychologists and still can't understand those things baffles me. It often attracts folks who are more analytical than empathetic. Plenty of people are quite intelligent, but lack emotional intelligence. This sounds exactly like my dad. He is a psychologist and has a shocking lack of empathy for certain people, like other family members, who are dealing with mental, emotional issues. Having to decide what to eat every night for the rest of your life while trying to accommodate the other. I dunno, what do you want to eat? Woman shrugging. No. Not that. Our solution: if you shoot an idea down, you must suggest an alternative. Husband and I realize, we just need choices. Offering one option as a yes or no question. Listing 3 and saying, pick one, is a question that gets an answer. An amp. #X200B, turns out we are giant toddlers and need to be reasoned with accordingly. The main difference between adults and toddlers is the height. Not being on the same level of dishwasher organization. Or towel folding. My wife will take folded towels out of the closet and refold them. Then complain she is so busy and can't get her work done. I'll tell her the towels were sitting alone in a dark closet with nobody looking at them, not hurting her or anyone else. If she chooses to waste her time refolding towels, that's her own business, but she shouldn't complain about her own choices. I'll say, OCD sucks, huh? Both get the same reaction. Flirting with fire here, my guy, but I respect it all the same. She counters with, if I folded them right in the first place, then she wouldn't have to refold them. So it's all my fault because of course it is. Not that she has the right of this situation, but why not just learn to fold them the way she likes it? I do most of the laundry in our family. But last week wife did the laundry and didn't turn the socks the right way out before stuffing. So all my socks are inside out. Not that big a deal, but I do the work beforehand so I don't have to when I'm getting dressed. I mentioned it to her, and she was like, oh, I didn't know you cared. I'll turn them out next time. Restaurant leftovers not still being in the fridge where you left them. I'm getting married in a few months, but my fiancé and I have cohabitated for nearly 5 years now. Every time she has leftovers, I leave them for at least a few days, to the point where I'm certain she isn't going to want them before I eat them. Grew up poor, so not a big fan of letting food go to waste. I would just ask, but I know she's too nice and will always say, you can have them, no worries, even if she does, in fact, still want them. Once we got home from a night out and she drunkenly scoured the fridge looking for the leftovers she'd forgotten she said I could have, and I felt fucking terrible. Think I've gotten pretty good at timing it. My wife has this incredible subconscious sixth sense where she can forget about leftovers of hers basically indefinitely, until 3 to 6 hours after I finally decide to eat them so they don't go to waste. She absolutely doesn't do it on purpose, and we've talked and laughed about it before, but I swear my timing and instinct is so terrible about when to eat the food because I think it's about to go to waste. Have you tried telling her, hey, I'm gonna finish that pad thai from 3 days ago, unless you want it? Mr. Communication over here. Love my wife dearly, but she got into a habit of inviting friends and family to stay over with us for a weekend, and not telling me until the invitation was already made. It took some time before I could convince her not to do that. My in-laws invited themselves to come over on what turned out to be the day after my vasectomy. I have absolutely no problem with them asking if they can come over. I'm bad at remembering to properly invite people. I just wish my wife had checked the calendar and/or asked me before she said yes. Sitting on the couch with an ice pack on my crotch is something I prefer to do alone. If you're young, having all the extended family bug you about when you're going to have kids. Yes. Also being asked, how's married life? 5x a day everywhere you go for like 6 months. The same as dating life but with more paperwork. I'm just gonna shower quickly. Have you filled out the form requesting that? This is especially unhelpful if you're having trouble having a kid. After a while I got so annoyed at the question I'd truthfully answer. We've had 2 miscarriages, thanks. Ask uncomfortable questions, get uncomfortable answers. My wife and I had a miscarriage and then a stillborn. After our second, we went to a grief counseling group and met other couples with similar experiences. Overall good.